Have you ever wondered what your future spouse will be like? In this video, we are answering that question using a specific astrology technique. Hey everyone, AstroKid here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Today we're talking about your future spouse and their characteristics, their personality traits, and how you can predict what they will be like based on your birth chart. And this video is a build-up off a previous video I did about spouse predictions. And in that video, we used a technique from Vedic astrology, which is the DK planet, and the DK planet is the lowest degree planet in your birth chart, and that planet describes your future spouse. So if you don't know your DK planet yet, what that is explained in that first original video. In this video, we are talking about the DK planet through the houses in your birth chart. And if you want to calculate what your DK planet is, your spouse planet is, I have the calculator down below. It is the lowest degree planet in your Vedic sidereal birth chart. And look at the house that that planet is in, and then you can watch the timestamp in this video for that specific placement. And in the comments of the previous video, I noticed some people asking, what if you have two planets at the lowest degree? Then you can look at the second of each of those planets. So if you have two 10-degree planets and those are both your lowest degree planets, each planet will have like the fine print next to it that says 30 seconds, for example. Maybe one has 20 seconds. So the planet that has like 10 degrees, 20 seconds is your lowest degree planet because it has the lowest second. So you can only have one DK planet. You can't have two. One is the only one, and it's the one with the lowest second in the little fine print on the chart calculator down below. And also, disclaimer, this video and technique is using a Vedic sidereal astrology, so this information can really only apply to your Vedic sidereal birth chart. I can't guarantee that it applies to your tropical chart, but it does apply to your Vedic sidereal chart. And the DK planet is an abbreviation for the full phrase, which is the Darakaraka planet. So if your DK planet is sitting in the first house of your birth chart, what this means for you and what your future spouse might be like is that they can be someone who is a lot like you, someone who mirrors your personality, someone who can have the same traits as you. Maybe they have the same or similar perception on life as you, the same worldview. There can be some striking similarity between you two, and it can deal with your personality overall. And in some cases, this can manifest as a spouse who actually looks like you. And you guys can look similar, have the same hair color, have the same skin tone or something like that. But physical appearance does play into this spouse prediction for you specifically, since you have it sitting in your first house. And your person might be someone who is also the same status as you, someone who works in the same profession, for example. Maybe they are involved in the same area of life as you. And the interesting thing is that when I was researching celebrity couples for this video, Brangelina is a good example of this, since Brad has his Darakaraka planet in his first house, and then Angelina has her Darakaraka in her first house. So we can see it manifesting there with Brangelina. They both are famous movie stars, both really attractive. Some people might say they look alike, but either way, that first house energy is manifesting in that example, since they're quite similar. They look a little bit similar. They have like the same status in life, and you can see that with their power couple marriage. In terms of zodiac energy in your spouse's chart, your spouse can have strong first house placements. So sun in the first house, for example, moon in the first house. They might even have Aries strongly prominent in their chart as well. If your DK planet is sitting in the second house of your birth chart, with this placement, when it comes to your future spouse, your person might be someone who's focused on financial security. And in general, this can be a person who is focused on material wealth, security in general, building wealth for themselves, and being focused on financial matters. And for some people, depending on the planet that is your Darakaraka or the planets you have in your second house, your spouse can even be wealthy. And something else about your person that can be prominent here is that they can be someone who has strong values or strong morals. And those values or morals that they have might match up with yours. So there can be a similarity there with what your values are, morals, and what their values are. And maybe you guys share some of the same values in life. Maybe you both care about material security, for example. There's also a little bit of a traditional theme with the second house. So your person can be someone who is traditional, has traditional values, or really sticks close to whatever their values are and doesn't stray too far from them. And in terms of zodiac energy in your person's chart, they can be someone who has Taurus energy, Taurus in their big three. They don't have to literally have Taurus in their chart, but they can also have strong second house placements, meaning they can have Sun in the second house, Moon in the second house, Saturn, or even a second house stellium. If your DK planet is sitting in the third house of your birth chart, what this means for your future spouse and what they might be like is that they can be someone who's very playful, someone who's witty, and this can give the energy of someone who is very active in life, and not necessarily just physically, but someone who has a lot of different projects going on, a lot of different hobbies. They can be interested in a lot of different things and have their foot in a lot of different arenas in their life. And your person can specifically work in the media. They can be a part of the media industry on some level. They can be a writer, someone involved in any sort of media related business or hobby. You can also find with this placement that your person is someone who is competitive. Maybe you even feel competitive with your spouse, or you can have sort of like a sibling relationship with your spouse as well. And for some people, your spouse can even be someone who is your neighbor, who was once your neighbor. That theme of neighbors and people who live near you is strong with third house themes as well. And in terms of zodiac energy in your person's chart, they can be someone who is a Gemini, have Gemini in their big three, even a Virgo in their big three. It doesn't have to manifest that way, but you can find Gemini or Virgo be strong in your spouse's chart, or Mercury energy as well. And if your DK planet is sitting in the fourth house of your birth chart, what this means for you and your future spouse and what they might be like is that they can be someone who is focused on security, focused on their family, focused on their traditional values. And your spouse might be someone who is from your past. They can literally be someone who you grew up with, someone from your childhood. They can even be someone from your hometown, your home city, your home state, even your home country. That theme of homeland is strong with the fourth house, so they can be someone from the place you grew up in. And another key theme you might find with your person is that they work in the hospitality industry. They can work in the property field as well with real estate. They can own properties, work or have anything to do with vehicles, property, or land. And even if they don't work in those arenas, you might find that you meet them there, or that theme of property or vehicles can be strong in how you are connected to this person. And in terms of zodiac energy in your person's chart, they can be someone with Cancer placements. It doesn't always have to manifest that way, but they can have Cancer in their chart. They can have strong lunar energy, like Moon in the first house, Moon in the fourth house. They can even have strong fourth house placements or a fourth house stellium. If your DK planet is sitting in the fifth house of your birth chart, what this means for you and what your future spouse might be like is that they can be someone who is very charismatic. They can have a very charming personality, someone who is very captivating. They can even be someone who is popular, someone who is famous or well known. It doesn't always manifest that way, but it can with this placement. And speaking of famous or well known, this person can be in the entertainment industry. They can be someone in a creative field as well, someone who works in the creative arts. There is that strong theme of creativity with the fifth house. So your person can be someone who is in a creative field or is very passionate about their creative hobbies. And something else about your future spouse is that they might have a childlike energy about them. Maybe they have a lot of vitality, maybe they're outspoken, they're bold, they're witty. There is that strong theme of childishness with the fifth house, since it does rule children. And in terms of zodiac energy in your spouse's birth chart, they can be someone with prominent Leo placements. They can have Leo sun, moon, or rising. It doesn't always have to manifest that way, but Leo can be a strong archetype in their chart. And if not, they might have strong fifth house placements or even a fifth house stellium or like a fifth house sun, for example. And when it comes to famous celebrity couples, an example of this is Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Kim Kardashian has her DK planet as the moon, and it's sitting in her 5th house. And we can see with her spouse, Kanye West, he is a creative person in the entertainment industry, in the music industry specifically, and he's someone that is famous and was famous when they met. If your DK planet is sitting in the 6th house of your birth chart, what this means for your future spouse and what they might be like is that they can be someone who is very hardworking, someone who is dedicated, someone who leads a healthy lifestyle, puts a lot of effort into what they do. They might just generally be a hard worker and have a strong work ethic about them. And speaking of work, your person might be someone who you work with. They can be a former coworker turned spouse. That kind of situation can be possible with this placement. And also when it comes to work and profession, they might be someone who works in the medical industry, works as a doctor, nurse, as a healer, someone who can even work with animals, for example. And when it comes to zodiac energy in your person's birth chart, they might be someone who is a Virgo or have strong Virgo placements in their chart, sun, moon, or rising. It doesn't always have to manifest that way, but that can be possible with this placement. And they might also have strong Mercury energy in their chart as well, or have a strong 6th house placement. If your DK planet is sitting in the 7th house of your birth chart, what this means for you and your future spouse is that they can be someone who's very social, someone who is somewhat of a socialite, someone who puts a lot of energy into their social relationships. They can be someone who is popular even depending on the planet that is your DK planet. But overall, there is that strong social theme with your spouse. And your person might be someone who's just very agreeable, someone who's likable, someone who is naturally likable in social situations. And they can be logical as well. They can be balanced, fair, just. There is that strong theme here with this placement. And when it comes to their zodiac energy, they can be someone who is a Libra. Maybe they have Libra strongly in their chart. They don't literally have to be a Libra or have Libra in their big 3, but maybe they have strong 7th house placements or just generally have that Libra vibe to them, even if they don't have strong Libra in their chart. And in terms of your person's profession in life and what they do for work, they can be involved in the legal field or even involved in public relations. If your DK planet is sitting in the 8th house of your natal chart, when it comes to your future spouse and what they might be like, they can be someone who is dominant, someone who is controlling. And this can mean that they're just someone who's in control of themselves, in control of their finances, especially in control of what's going on around them. Control can be something that your person does prioritize or value in their life. And speaking of finances, your spouse can be wealthy. Depending on the planet you have as your DK planet, your spouse can be someone with a lot of money or have a certain amount of investments saved up or just accumulate a lot of resources in their life. And this can manifest especially if your DK planet is Jupiter, for example, in the 8th house. And in terms of their profession, they can be involved in the insurance industry, involved in asset management, for example, or they can even be involved in the occult as well. And in terms of their zodiac energy in their birth chart, they might have Scorpio prominently in their chart, maybe in their big 3, for example. They can have strong 8th house placements like 8th house sun, 8th house moon. They don't have to be a Scorpio or 8th house person, but that can be very possible with this placement. If your DK planet is sitting in the 9th house of your birth chart, when it comes to your future spouse and what they might be like, this can be someone who feels like a teacher or a guide to you. And they might literally be a teacher or a guide in their profession, but this can manifest as a person who has a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom about them. They can be someone who's very intelligent or someone that's really well-traveled or cultured. And speaking of culture, this person can be from a different culture than you or a different country. There can be a difference in background here with your DK planet in the 9th house. And also with this kind of international theme of the 9th house, your person can be someone who travels for work, who is in the travel industry. They can also be in an industry related to spirituality, related to religion. And if they're not in those industries, they can just generally be someone interested in those things in their life. And something else your spouse can be involved in is publishing. Maybe they have a book, they want to write a book, maybe they've written books before, but publishing is also strong with the 9th house. When it comes to the zodiac energy in your person's birth chart, they can be someone with prominent Sagittarius placements. They might be Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising. They can even be Pisces sun, moon, or rising. And they might even have prominent 9th house placements where they can have sun in the 9th house, moon in the 9th house, even be a 9th house stellium. It doesn't have to manifest as a 9th house person or Sagittarius or Pisces, but that can be a strong theme here with your DK planet in your 9th house. If your DK planet is sitting in the 10th house of your birth chart, what this means for your future spouse and what they might be like is that they can be someone who is an authority figure. Now, this can be literal, where they are an authority in their career, in their life, status-wise, or they can just feel like an authority figure to you. They can feel older than you. There is that theme of authority with the 10th house, as well as this theme of high status. So your spouse can be someone who is high status or have a high position in their life. And for some people, depending on the planet you have as your DK planet, you can have a spouse that is famous or well known. And this specifically can apply to people who have Sun as their DK planet, for example. And overall, your person can be someone who is practical, logical, or responsible. And in terms of their profession, they can be in politics or in the government as well. And when it comes to the zodiac energy in your person's birth chart, they can be someone with prominent Capricorn placements. They can have Capricorn, sun, moon, rising. They might have like a 10th house stellium, maybe a 10th house sun. The 10th house can be prominent in their birth chart. It doesn't have to manifest as a 10th house person or Capricorn, but that can be a strong theme here with your DK planet in the 10th house of your birth chart. If your DK planet is sitting in the 11th house of your birth chart, when it comes to your future spouse and what they might be like, they can be someone who is involved with pursuing or fulfilling their material desires. This can be someone who is wealthy, for example, depending on the planet you have as your DK planet, especially if you have like Jupiter in the 11th as your DK planet. This can manifest as a wealthy spouse or someone with a lot of resources. But in general, your spouse might be someone also who is a powerful person, someone who has some sort of authority in society, someone who is influential, for example. This can even give a famous spouse. Overall, your person can be very involved with material desires and fulfilling them in their life. Your spouse can be someone who is involved in humanitarianism, involved in charity work, someone who is charitable, has a charity, involved in working with charities. And there is a very socialite or social theme to the 11th house, so they can be involved in any sort of social work, social justice, for example, or just be someone who's very social or a socialite, literally. And in terms of zodiac energy in your person's birth chart, they can have prominent Aquarius placements. They can have Aquarius sun, moon, rising. They can have prominent 11th house energy, so like an 11th house sun, 11th house moon, even 11th house stellium. It doesn't always have to manifest that way, but Aquarius and 11th house energy can be strong in your person's birth chart with your DK planet in the 11th house. If your DK planet is sitting in the 12th house of your birth chart, when it comes to your future spouse and what they might be like, this can be someone who is generous, someone who is giving, forgiving, even someone who is charitable. The 12th house deals with giving, generosity, charity, so your person can have that energy about them. They can be someone who is humble or has humility about them as well. And they can literally be involved in charity work, be involved in humanitarianism. And your person can be someone who works in foreign lands. They work in a foreign industry or work in an industry that deals with international affairs. They can also work in the prison industry, hospital industry. Prisons or hospitals can be relevant somehow to your spouse. Maybe they work as someone who is charitable to those industries, someone who's a social worker, for example, in those industries. And speaking of foreign lands, your spouse can be someone from a different culture than you. This is the indicator of having a foreign spouse or a spouse from a different country even. than you. When it comes to their zodiac energy in their birth chart, they can be someone with prominent Pisces placements. Pisces, sun, moon, or rising. They can even have strong Jupiter placements in their chart. They can have strong 12th house energy, like a 12th house stellium, 12th house sun. It doesn't always manifest that way, but it is possible with this placement of your DK planet in your 12th house. And in terms of celebrity couples, someone that comes to mind is Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Kanye West has his DK planet Mercury in his 12th house, and we can see that Kim Kardashian is a Pisces moon, and she does do charity work and work in prison reform. And with that being said, that is your spouse prediction based on your DK planet. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.